When I was a little kid, my my brother was going to take me gun deer hunting, and I was all gung ho to go. And my dad told me I couldn't go, and we had been planning this. My brother even bought me some orange stuff, and I was really ticked off. My dad was a wise man. My brother was a drunk, and I was too young to really know that.
Yeah.
But my dad was pretty smart, and because I was moping around, he bought me a red fiberglass bow, one of those bear bows. I think a lot of kids had those back in the day, and I actually was able to get a couple of deer hunting arrows. I can't believe it because I was a real little kid that the guy sold them to me at the store, but he did. He had a bucket full of wooden arrows with broadheads on them, and I bought one of them arrows, and I went out to go deer hunting, and was out stalking deer with my dog, Buford. That was my favorite dog, Buford. And I was out in the back behind a yard through some fields, and I come into this heavy grassy area, and there's like these trails going through, and I was pushing through this trail, and I come into this little open spot, and I look up, and there's this buck standing there looking at me, and he had broken off antlers on the top of his head, and he's probably about 5 paces from me, just standing there staring at me. And as a little kid, and I mean, I was really little, staring at this deer face to face, I stopped thinking about being a hunter, and I can't decide whether I'm supposed to shoot this thing or make it a pet because it's just standing there, you know.
Right.
I'm just kind of sitting there contemplating like what's going on in shock, and it's probably a fraction of a second, but it seems like forever, right? And all of a sudden, the thing just lowers its head and just charged forward and rammed right into me, caught me in the guts, and I went flying through the air, landed on the ground, and got up, and I started crying, and the antlers ripped my jacket open, and I started walking home and crying, and my dad and mom came running out to get me because uh, a neighbor across the creek from us was watching out on her porch, saw me out there with the bow, was wondering what I was doing, was watching me, saw the whole thing happen. And she thought some big dog attacked me. She couldn't tell it was a deer from that distance. She said, then the dog ran away or something, you know. But my dad frequented a tavern in Lannon, and he went down to the tavern that night, and he may have had a few too many, and he was
Hmm.
telling a story. One of the guys in the tavern was a writer for the local newspaper, and he wrote the article, and the article was all full of stuff that wasn't true. He said there was footprints on my jacket. Well, that was where the antlers tore the jacket and stuff. And he had my
Yeah.
age wrong, and you know, but it was
That's crazy. And you've had a vengeance on deer ever since.
oh yeah. I went on a killing spree after that.
I got a funny story about when I was a kid. It's embarrassing. I don't care. I was like probably 10 or 11 years old. Uh, Me and my dad and my grandpa were hunting. My grandpa had this little bitty Nissan pickup. It was like one of those extended cabs, but you had to sit sideways in the back. You remember those trucks, right?
Yep.
And they always set me in this particular spot that was kind of close to the truck. And my dad and my grandpa were off somewhere, wherever they would go. And it was gun season, and we were out there in the morning, and I got sitting up there, and I got my climber, and I don't know, I sat up there for an hour, and dude, I had to take a dump so bad. And this is like when you're a little kid, you're just stupid. You're like, what the heck could I do, And I climbed down, I got down, and I had coveralls on. I took them down, and I freaking took a dump right in the back of my coveralls, like all over them. I wasn't conscious enough to move them out of the way. Anyway, so then I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I just took them all the way off, and I had long underwear on, and I went and um, put them in the truck, and I just sat in the truck and waited for my waited for my grandpa and my dad to get back. And I think it was my dad. It was either my dad or my uncle. But anyway, I they got back to the truck like a long time later, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing back to the truck?" I'm like, "Oh, I just got down a little early and came back." And he's like, "Oh, why do you got your cover? Where's your coveralls at?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got hot or whatever." I made up some story. And then we got driving down the road, and my grandpa, he was like, "Man, it smells in here." And I and I like started crying. I'm like, "I pooped in my pants. I pooped in my." And they just thought it was hilarious. They weren't mad. I thought they were really mad at me for pooping all in my bibs, but I don't know. I've got a bunch of stories about coyote hunting with dogs. I had a gun pulled on me once doing that, and that's not real funny. But there's better stories with that stuff. Like you said, Dan, dog hunting gets a little bit western sometimes. You seem to get into more crap doing that kind of stuff than deer hunting for sure. Hey everybody, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you like the clips, I got 2 more options for you. 2 options right here. Subscribe right here. See you guys.